Xbox plans to completely change the games industry next generation by offering more power, more choice, and more games than any other console in history. Xbox has already expanded beyond the console, and Xbox has a plan that will offer the best looking games and more graphics power on a box no one expected. This is Colteastwood. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Windows Central's Corden talking about third-party OEM powerful Xbox consoles. A lot of what we'll be discussing here is directly from his article. It's linked in the description. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content. And let's talk about Xbox's future and a very powerful console. Windows Central Corden reported on an unorthodox approach to lead the console market with more users and even higher subscriptions to Game Pass without relying on an Xbox console, but by using an Xbox console made by Samsung or Razer. Corden explained, as we head into 2025, Xbox mostly won't have console exclusives going forward, but it may not even matter. Increasingly, PlayStation is bringing its games to Steam, and Valve is about to let manufacturers build consoles based on its OS, which will be full of PlayStation's games and Xbox games. Xbox and even other console users are going to need a way to preserve their games beyond the restrictions of a console that dictates access to ownership. The only true platform that keeps your purchases indefinitely is PC. Xbox knows this, and they are working with major brands to change what an Xbox console is. But will Xbox make a conventional Xbox console? Yes. Will they also have Xbox consoles available without the logo on them? Believe it or not, yes. Corden says, instead of there being fewer Xbox branded devices sold next gen, there will be more than ever. But they might not all be built by Microsoft or Xbox themselves. All of the Xbox hardware and platform teams right now answer to Sarah Bond, and she is in charge of the Xbox Everywhere strategy. Below Sarah Bond is Jason Ronald, who is now known as Vice President of Next Gen. Jason is in charge specifically of executing the new Xbox hardware ecosystem from first party. However, there is another individual that the Xbox community rarely talks about who actually leads Xbox's hardware ecosystem. Rowan Sones came to Xbox a couple of years ago. Corden explains that Sones is a 22-year Microsoft vet and was previously Microsoft's Windows OEM lead, responsible for developing partnerships between Microsoft and PC manufacturers like Dell, Lenovo, Asus, and the Steam Deck. Rowan sees the value of games being powered by more than just one piece of plastic, especially in an era where $200 or $300 million video game budgets do not see a return on investment when selling just a few million copies. Before you assume that this is just an Xbox or Microsoft problem, remember Hiroki Totoki, the lead of Sony and PlayStation, has expressed that the PlayStation is not enough and that they want to put their games wherever there is compute. And game budgets have ballooned so far to necessitate even the mighty brand PlayStation putting their games on PC as soon as possible. Corden reported that Rowan Sones was specifically brought in to help forge Xbox's future, which increasingly looks a lot more like Valve and Steam than PlayStation and Nintendo. At CES 2025, Valve will debut its first non-Valve Steam PCs in partnership with Lenovo. Xbox's Jason Ronald will also be there, possibly to talk about third-party OEM consoles being fully backed by the Xbox brand. The Steam OS is much more advantageous for gaming handhelds or a console form factor, and Valve's Steam Box in today's gaming space. And Microsoft and Xbox's platform requires much more customization and tinkering to have full integration from third-party gaming devices. This is where the universal Xbox dashboard comes into play. There are rumors that Xbox is working on a universal Xbox dashboard, which will finally bring it into next generation with a unified UI and touchscreen or controller supported system that will be perfect for handhelds, desktop PCs, and console devices, which would be perfect for the rumored third-party OEM consoles. Picture this: Samsung or Razer, major hardware manufacturers, Lenovo, Dell, could make their own bespoke Xbox-style console that will fully support SteamOS, but most importantly, this Xbox dashboard. The same exact dashboard experience you'd get on console carried over to a non-Xbox gaming device, meaning all of your achievements, your progress, your friends and parties, capturing methods, and most importantly, the entitlement of your game purchases on Xbox console would directly come over. A Samsung console with full integration of Xbox means that your new Xbox-style console would play nearly every PC game available across multiple storefronts, but most importantly, bring over every single Xbox game you can play right now on an Xbox console, which includes over 4,000 backward-compatible titles, all without repurchasing them on PC storefronts. The best part of all this, since it's a Steam-based or Windows Xbox-based console, not even created by Xbox, is that it would also support 50-some flagship PlayStation exclusives that are now available on PC platforms. This means you can play all of your favorite games, Xbox, PC, and PlayStation, on an Xbox-like console connected to your TV with your favorite controller. Corden goes on to explain that despite minor variances of the Xbox and PlayStation platforms, they are virtually identical. Both are based on x86 architecture AMD chips that diverge almost arbitrarily. He says that as costs in general rise and new users into the gaming ecosystem flatline, the ability to grow margins and deliver for stakeholders becomes constrained. Another potentially less self-destructive way developers could save money is porting games between systems, even if that can be more streamlined. Jez says in essence, it's his prediction that the next Xbox consoles will essentially be more PC-like than ever before. Xbox's CEO Phil Spencer has hinted as much when he described a desire to bring third-party stores like Epic, GOG, and Steam to Xbox consoles. You can't really achieve that, Jez says, if the console itself can't run Win32 Windows game packages natively. The best part about a third-party OEM console like from Samsung, Lenovo, or Dell means that the game console can be much more powerful. It can be even less constrained from the normal price point. Right now, the price point for consoles is somewhere around $600 or $700, looking into next generation thanks to PlayStation and Xbox's price point right now. Next generation, a console from a company like Samsung could be in the range of $1,000, but be much more powerful and more capable for games, giving your hardware much more longevity, especially with very demanding game engines right now. The new Xbox console and even future hardware with new GPUs and OEM third-party consoles would be subsidized in power with new AI graphics cores built into the hardware. This means more performance, higher frame rates, and higher resolutions without building a $2,000 or $3,000 desktop PC. But it's the games that are most important, especially for people who want to sit down with a gaming style console or a desktop or handheld. And Corden explains that the Xbox Play Anywhere initiative, the ability to play all your games back and forth with cross-save and progression on Windows PC and over to Xbox, needs to become an industry standard for games being ported to Windows. There are hundreds of games that support Play Anywhere, but this is a feature that Xbox needs to lean back into, which will make cross-entitlement across all of these devices ubiquitous. Jez hopes that for at least the next-gen systems, Microsoft will drop the anachronistic paywall for premium multiplayer games. He says it would make absolutely zero sense if you could run the Epic Store on the Xbox and then be asked to pay to play online. Dropping the paywall for next-gen might also encourage existing Xbox users to upgrade to a greater cadence than we've seen between the Xbox One and Series X and S generation. Jez says if this shiny new Xbox device is a PC, then it needs to behave like one, both for consumers and developers. And for manufacturers, Jez says, for that matter, given Rohan Sohn's expertise, you'd have to assume that this Windows-like Xbox ecosystem would also lend itself to a licensing model. Manufacturers like Lenovo, Asus, and others that are building SteamOS gaming devices would also be able to build their own Xbox OS gaming devices. For Microsoft, Jez explains, this would solve their global footprint issue when it comes to distributing hardware. Jez explains that Microsoft is poor when it comes to marketing and representing its products with retailers outside of the US. What if you could get Samsung to promote their own Xbox hardware locally in Korea? What if you could get an Asus Xbox promoted in Taiwan? Microsoft could keep the spec recommendations tight to ensure consistency for console consumers who expect things to, quote, just work, while also having OEMs develop devices and price points that perhaps have stronger regional appeal. Corden also focuses on some of the concerns that fans would have, saying it's not impossible that consumers wouldn't just wholesale reject these ideas, particularly if executed poorly. The big fear in the Xbox community is that we'll end up losing access to our digital games if Microsoft isn't able to protect the current hardware ecosystem. Encouraging users to engage with Xbox on devices that aren't attached to the Xbox ecosystem means if people want to buy the next generation official Xbox console, would they still get all of the games if the official Xbox console got less support? Jez says if Microsoft does execute on this vision, it could totally change the games industry and ensure Xbox's long-term hardware future. The future is increasingly becoming less platform or especially plastic console reliant, in an era where franchises could live or die if they do not see enough customers, especially when restricted to one console. The future is bigger games being available to millions and millions of players, and Xbox has more studios and franchises than any other console platform competitor. And they can leverage this power by making their games available to nearly everyone as long as they buy it from Xbox. The future of several Xbox consoles having choice to play one or your favorite manufacturer, maybe Samsung or Razer or even Steam. This provides a more exciting gaming future than ever before. The power of your purchase and the prospect of playing however you want, not being limited by power provided by an outdated piece of plastic, makes next generation seem more exciting than ever before. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much, and special thanks to Windows Central Jez Corden for writing this really great article. I had reported on this about 4 months ago, and this discussion has been going on for a long time. The prospect of playing a more powerful console. Now, I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to talk to an Xbox hardware developer that was talking about the power of consoles and how they become obsolete over time. And I asked, what if there was a $1,000 console? Would you guys be interested in making something like that would provide more power and more longevity for its hardware in the generation? And he asked, how many around you would want to buy a $1,000 console? Not a lot of people raised their hands. Now, it's not on Xbox to put out an expensive $1,000 or $1,000+ console, but if they can get third parties to offer that, you're seeing that people are willing to pay more for hardware, but it's a specialized market. If Xbox can pull this off, if they can give me access on a console type set box to play all of my Xbox games, everything I've bought on Steam and Epic and everything else, even PlayStation games, right there with your controller, it's going to literally change the games industry. And it's really the way things are going to change. And you're going to see PlayStation make shifts as they get into next generation where they are less plastic oriented with that one console. And even that could be a really great prospect for everybody involved and give you more purchasing power. If you ended up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. If you want to further support what we're doing here on the Colteastwood channel, you can do that by hitting the join button below, and that will get you early access for videos. People watch this one some 12 hours before it went up. Also, you can join the Patreon. We got several tiers there that will get you access to monthly merch giveaways and so much more. Check out the X&C podcast. Mag and I are going to be sitting down talking about a bunch of this stuff. A lot of this has been talked about for many months. We'll break into what we know, what we think about the future, and that will be a great discussion that runs every Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I want to know what you think about the next console. Are you going to buy the next generation console so you get that purposed and promised device that you know it'll do what it'll do, or are you going to go straight to a desktop PC, or would you like to try out some third-party OEM box that's made to play on your screen? Everything's there with the touch of the controls, back on your couch. Not everything like that can be done on PC, I can tell you that by experience, but it looks like a really cool future with way more choice. Let me know what you think in the comments, and while you're there, as I always say, be nice.